Guardian, you must listen to me. You have to get away from here.
Yes, far away.
Good. That's good.
Together.
What?
You and I. Together.
I can't.
You must. I need you by my side if I am to rekindle the faith.
Rekindle? You mean you want to start it up again?
Yes. You and I have passed through the fire together, and now we've come out stronger than before.
No, we haven't. I haven't.
Don't argue with me! I forbid you to argue!
So, welcome to Series 3, Episode 50 of Conversations on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I am your host, Lance, and joining me on the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
Maggie.
Hi.
And a very warm welcome to our guest podcaster of the day, Amy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So since you are our guest for the day, I'm going to ask you about your vital tribe statistics. So first up, what is your favourite and worst tribe series?
Oh, okay. My favourite would be the end of season 2 and the start of season 4. Least favourite, I'm going to have to say season 5 by default because I can never actually get through it. I think I've only seen it all the way through once.
That's very interesting. Okay. So, yeah, why is season 5 not drawn you to it?
Oh goodness, I don't know. It might be the after effects of the end of season 4, if I'm honest. But it just feels like plot is moving characters. It turned into a Saturday morning kids show rather than this amazing dystopian narrative that it used to be. And a lot of the characters just feel like archetypes at this point. They're not really evolving and the nuance isn't there anymore. Oh, and plus there's the Amber Trudy J storyline, which no one needed.
Very fair.
Yep.
Season 5 is an acid trip. Like, what is happening? Like, I don't like season 4. I hate season 4, but I will give it one credit. I still felt like they were trying to do something. Like it still felt like there was some sort of purpose. They were trying something new. They were actually trying to achieve something thematic. In season 5, they were like, whatever. We give up. We don't care.
It's like the writer just fell asleep on top of the keyboard and they went with whatever came out, honestly.
It's Super Mario 2. It didn't exist. It was all just a dream. Sorry, that was an old reference.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's so true.
Okay. Who is your favourite and worst characters?
My favorite character has got to be Cloe. I love that she, even though she isn't identified as neurodivergent, I think she is neurodivergent coded. She's really good at noticing small details. She's wonderfully empathic and intuitive, but at the same time, she can really struggle to integrate with other characters in the show. And she does have this lingering fear of being alone, being abandoned, and I find that deeply relatable. Least favorite character. Oh, this is tough because there are two which are both like nails on a chalkboard to me, and that's Ned and Gel. Whenever they're on screen, my stomach is just churning.
Okay. Who is your favourite official couple and obviously couple that never was?
Well, my favorite couple was originally Ebony and Jay, but then I realized they wanted me to take the idea of Jay being the hero seriously, and I lost it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so with you, Abe.
I guess it has to be Lex and Tai-San by default. You can't really pick anyone else. They're all very toxic.
That's a perfect answer.
That was the best, description I've had. that put my words. I liked Jay and Ebony a lot until I was like, wait, he's supposed to be a good guy? Wait, what? What?
Yes, what are you doing?
And couple that never was.
Oh goodness, that's a good question. I'd like to pair Moz off with someone, actually. Maybe I'd pair her off with Jay just to see what happens. I don't know if it would be a very healthy relationship, but it would be an interesting one.
That's definitely an interesting couple, yeah. Yeah. Do you have a favorite storyline in the show?
Definitely. I think it has to be the end of season 2, the Chosen takeover, and particularly Patsy's indoctrination. I've been reading a lot about Pulse recently, and you can see how much work they did to bring that storyline to life, right down to the separating Patsy from her loved ones when Trudy separates her from Chloe. I think that's an amazing piece of writing and probably the best thing the show's ever done.
Definitely agree there. They really put the work in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite tribe star?
I actually really love Patsy's outfit towards the end of season 2 because I think in this show all of the outfits tell a story. And in Patsy's case, we see her start off when she's first reintegrating with Trudy wearing this black and white dress. And black and white can often be a symbol of the struggle between good versus evil. And then Patsy eventually transitions out of that dress into a plain black shirt. So obviously the darkness is taking over. And then right towards the end, when she's starting to doubt Trudy and reinstate her friendship with Chloe, we see her change outfits again. And you can actually see Patsy evolving away from the Chosen back to the Mallrats.
I like that.
Okay, cool. Do you have a favorite music track from the tribe?
Oh, Abba Messiah, obviously.
Yay! Woo!
Woohoo!
It's too good of a bop, yep.
It's the best.
I'm just waiting for one of our guests to be like, it's beep beep. Like, oh, okay, that's random.
Oh yeah, and lastly, what is your favorite tribe?
I actually quite like the farm girls as they're presented at the end of season 1. I would have loved to have spent more time with them. I think they're really interesting.
Agreed. Yeah, there's so much they could have done with the farm girls.
Back when the city still had tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Used to have tribes and city leaders and just people living in this world, but not so much anymore.
Not so much, no.
So Series 3, Episode 50. The screenplay was done by Anthony Reed. It was directed by John Reed. And the episode synopsis was read out by Amy.
Tai-San arranges a further meeting with the Guardian, but struggles with the idea of betraying his trust. The return of Chloe and Jack stirs up emotions in the mall, while Luke fears that he's falling into a familiar situation.
Okay, so panel. We start off with the cliffhanger from the last episode. The Guardian seeks out Tai-San as his one true supporter and wants them to leave together in order to rekindle the Chosen. But Tai-San convinces him that they need Brady, and so arranges to meet with him again after fetching her. After telling all to Ebony and Bray, Tai-San convinces them to play things her way. However, Ebony instructs Moz to waste the Guardian, whilst Lex also demands that he takes over the entire operation. So yeah, panel, what did you make of Tai-San's plan and the conflicting approaches here?
That girl looked so scared. It's just, I mean, it was a good plan for her to come up with, to make sure she could get away by saying she could get Brady, but I don't know, I always hated when that poor child is dragged into the whole insanity again. But it was a good plan, in order to get away and try and get him in the right place at the right time.
I really love Michelle's performance in this scene. I think, like you said, she's just so wonderful at capturing Tai-San's fear. I do wonder, though, it feels sometimes like in this show, characters do get trapped in patterns of behavior, particularly in terms of Lex and Ebony always jostling for power and Bray trying desperately to take control of the situation and not necessarily succeeding. And in this scene, it feels like we've almost reverted back to patterns which have played out since seasons 1 and 2. And I find myself wondering once again, do they actually know what they're going to do with the Guardian once they capture him? Do they actually have a plan once he's caught? Because we've seen before, their plans do tend to fall apart a little bit in the end.
Oh yeah.
Ebony has a great plan.
They always seem like they're on the back foot. Like, they're
Mhm.
always scrambling. I really like that you mentioned Michelle's performance, because that's what got me. You guys know I do not like how Tai-San's storyline is basically just reduced to the Guardian's a great guy. He's misunderstood, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and that became her entire personality. But I did like this moment where she is reminded that this was a man who kept her against her will in his room, forced her into a marriage, and she spent a great deal of time being absolutely terrified of him and what he was capable of doing. And she, whatever, went into denial, told herself he wasn't really responsible for those things. He was confused, and only to be reminded that he is that guy. He is that same guy. I wish they'd done a little bit more with it, but I did like her performance of being reminded that you had good reason to be afraid of him. You weren't there by choice. You were held captive and preyed upon by this lunatic and were just trying to survive. And you got blinded by your compassion. That's very scary. It's, and I thought she did a great job, playing that. Like that, her genuine, surprise that you want to start it all over, how wrong is my judgment,
Right. Like you see her, try to think, okay, no, you're trying to play, are you still crazy? You're crazy. Like you don't really think these things. Like you see her wanting to believe that and realizes that he really is nuts. Like this guy is insane. He wants to start this all over again. Like that's sad for me. And you all know how I feel about Tai-San. So I just it is heartbreaking to see, and she did play that very well. She has a good plan. I don't know what any of them expect they're going to do. Besides Ebony, she's the only one that seems to know what they're going to do when they get the Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one. This whole time, she's the only one that has had a plan.
Yeah. What do you guys actually think about the Guardian's sanity at this point? Because I know it's a point of contention.
Oh, he's off his rocker, but in a different way. Like he is completely aware of what he's doing because he believes it. And that's why it's dangerous. And he to everybody else, he seems insane, but to himself, you know what I mean? Like, so he is, he's not there, but he's there enough to know that what he's doing.
Exactly.
I guess.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Like he definitely has a personality disorder, but he's not.
Yes.
He knows the difference between right and wrong. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. He's not insane like Tai-San was trying to push to everybody to believe he was. And when she realized that, okay, go on.
The writers did make him out to be for a good.
I know, but he was playing them, man. It was all an act.
Was it though? Was it really though? Was it really an act? Like he was proper.
But that's what I mean. Like, yeah, no, he is absolutely out of his mind. Okay, but he is aware of the fact that what he's doing is, he's hurting people. He hurt people. This isn't right. Like,
he's not a drooling idiot. He makes him.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. The writers couldn't decide what way to pull it. So he wasn't, then he was, and then he wasn't. It's like they couldn't decide.
And he wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, 100. But like, it's just and that's why it's not white and black as far as there's that gray area where like he's both.
He's very. It's a very.
He's intelligent. He's intelligent. Mm-hmm. He is. He's a smart man, but
that's what makes him so dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
The writers didn't want to commit. And so we are stuck with what they decided to do. And what they decided to do was make him go off the deep end and then pull the rug out and say, no, he's not actually that crazy. Mm-hmm. That's what the writers decided. That's the reality we have to live in. You know what I mean? The reality is that he isn't that insane. In a court of law, he wouldn't get off on an insanity plea.
Right.
And that's what
exactly what he was doing.
The writers did that. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to deal with, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Being said though, I mean, when you are mentally unwell, you can experience these fluctuations in your lucidity. So if we wanted to be
Mhm.
generous, we could say that he's dipping in and out, and that's why we're
Mhm.
seeing the massive inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
the writers had put that much
If-
thought into
yeah.
it, it would be
I was
great.
gonna say, yeah. That's been very generous to the
Goodbye,
writers,
Emily.
yeah.
I'm just trying to make sense of it all, you guys.
No, it's
You're
what we
doing
do.
wonderful.
It's-
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah, I thought her plan was as reasonable as one you could think of on the spot when you're caught this off guard,
Mhm.
and she fell right back into the pacifying behavior that one does with an abusive person.
Yep.
You're saying whatever you can to stay out of danger and to calm them, and she was in the habit of doing that with him. And so, like, oh, okay, that's what you want, then I will do that. Just anything to please let go of my arm, because I'm genuinely afraid of what you're going to do to me. And
She knows what he'll do, and
and she's very caught off guard by that because she convinced herself that he wasn't
Mhm.
all of those things. And he's like, it's me, bish.
yeah, exactly. Surprise.
I'm here. Your husband's back.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're married. This strange husband has returned.
I do love the way they capture that trauma bonding that's happened between them, because even though she's absolutely terrified, we do see in later scenes she still genuinely cares for the Guardian in terms of his life. She genuinely wants him to at least have dignity, to be safe, not to be deceived. It's very interesting. She's still not quite detached. It's obviously had a profound effect on her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thank you for bringing it out. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a bit because we need to talk about her reaction later on. But yeah, before we do, let's return to our returning Morats.
Yay.
Jack, you're back.
Well, not really.
Chloe,
Hi, Casey. You seen a ghost or something?
you've changed.
Have I?
Yeah, you're so.
Yes.
Are you back for good? Come inside and have a drink and something to eat.
That'd be great. I'm starving.
A little later, Amber does have a heart-to-heart with Jack, who confides in her just how difficult it is to stay. So yeah, there's quite a few things in this scene panel. What did you make of the reactions to both Chloe and Jack's return? And what are your thoughts on Jack's sentiments about being back in this mall?
I'm so happy they're home.
It's really nice to see the Morats actually express any emotion at all about their fellow Morats who have been missing for so long. On the other hand, though, I feel like there's a dramatic weight that could have been pulled off here, particularly with Chloe, that they don't really attempt. And that's the fact that Chloe's been missing for so long, and the circumstances of her going missing were quite tragic. She was encouraged to spy after having been through this very traumatic experience where she recognized that Trudy was working for the Chosen and no one else believed her. And you would think that there would be a lot of tension there when she comes back. And they don't really do anything with it, which I think is a shame. It's not that her return is done badly, but there's so much potential there that could have been mined, and it just...
Hey, we have a button, a missed potential button. We're pressing it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. As much as I'm perfectly content with the return, as you said, it's not done poorly, but it is a missed opportunity. That's the reason Chloe's in such good spirits and so lighthearted and looks so healthy and unbothered by her experience, because they don't want us to think about the circumstances of a child who chose to spy for her family, to go into a dangerous situation, who should have been protected and wasn't, and then was dispatched unceremoniously with literally almost no one but Ryan giving a damn, and KC. They were the only two who cared about what happened to her. And you had no idea she was alive this whole time. Yeah. And then she just pops back up and everyone's just like, oh, hey, Chloe, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing there.
And there's just one thing that's so annoying and so strange to me about this is how can Chloe be this okay with Trudy right now?
I was just about to say.
She doesn't really, there's no conversation between them. They don't want us to think about
it. There is no confrontation like with Jack and Trudy.
Yeah, at least Jack, was obvious about his feelings.
Yeah. In fairness, I think they do have a conversation next episode, but you're right, it is odd that she just immediately falls back into friendship.
I think she was just happy to be home. And I think that's what we're meant to believe, you know?
Besides, these guys aren't capable of more than one emotion at a time
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty monotone.
And I'm thrilled for Casey's response to Chloe because it's just
I love
adorable.
it. It is so cute.
And-
I started.
Seeing that moment actually made me and everything with these two just makes me wonder what could have been, what might have been, if we would have had Casey around in the next season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And now you're making me so sad. I didn't want to. I'm
Can
so
you
excited, but I'm so sad about it.
But can you imagine if Casey had still been there when she met Ved?
That's what.
I don't
That
want
would have been epic.
No, I don't want to. Sorry.
You're hurting me. You are hurting me.
I don't want to talk about him yet.
But when it comes to Jack's feelings and Jack speaking to Amber, I think if anyone should be able to relate to Jack how hard it can be to be back after such a heartbreak, such betrayal, it should be Amber because
Mm-hmm.
That's true,
faked her own
actually.
death.
Yeah,
She
I didn't think about
faked her
that.
own dead. She faked being dead
Mm-hmm.
to everyone
Yeah.
because she was hurt by a guy.
And of course, we never addressed that either. No one ever got to express
No.
feeling any sort of resentment towards her, or anger, or just complex emotions of the fact that I
Mhm.
mourned you, and it was just you couldn't break up with a guy. That's what I went through for.
Everybody's just so happy to see her. Yeah.
It's the simplest story they could have chosen for Chloe and coming back. Let's just play it as everything's cool. She's alive. Nobody has anything to really say about that. And let's poke at, she and Casey are old enough to even indulge in crushes now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that's the cutesy storyline. It's the most simple one we're going to go, and we're not going to explore this,
Yep.
what this could mean for anybody. And with Jack, it's still about Ellie. You know what I mean? And there's just no room for anything complex storytelling happening here. So for what it is, it's fine, but it's not impressive.
At least with Jack, when he first came back, at least they explored the loss of Dal with him.
Mm.
Yeah, but I mean, we get to see, Chloe
Yeah.
be sad about
Yeah.
Patsy and missing
True.
her.
At least he remembered Patsy, and Amber remembered Ryan.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
there's
it's season 3. It's season 3. That's all. That's the only explanation I got.
When I think about season 1 and how the characters responded to somebody coming and going from the mall, even in that situation where they're still much younger and their emotions should be simpler, there were more complex discussions about someone deciding to leave or somebody showing up. I mean, you have Celine and Ryan who left, and they were concerned the tribe wouldn't let them come back. Even though they hadn't done anything wrong, all they'd done was really leave. They were like, will you guys have us come back? And there's things that have to be discussed. Celine has to admit to what she's been doing. When Trudy abandons her baby, there's a massive discussion when she came back. She had to basically beg, please let me come home and please give me back my kid, and these were much younger kids having these range of emotions at somebody popping back in. Amber comes home after she said she was going to leave with Sasha, but she's not happy about her decision. And so everyone starts to resent the fact that her heart is broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were feelings, there were real feelings around somebody coming and going, and the uncertainty of having people you can depend on or people popping back up into your life and how that makes you feel, and it just doesn't exist anymore. So keep it simple.
No, it doesn't. We didn't even get anything when Amber and Trudy, that was anticlimactic.
I was going to say, yeah, we just had a kidnapping return and we had nothing.
And nothing, absolutely nothing. So I'm really glad you pointed that out because, yeah, that's where we are. Here, guys.
The weird thing is, though, I think in season 4, Chloe does show signs of PTSD. She develops this really harsh exterior to deal with the outside world, and she seems very angry, very resentful. She's shouting at Celine. But it's just strange that upon her arrival back at the mall, there's no sign of that, and yet in season 4, as with a lot of the characters, they just suddenly...
Well, she's a teenager now, so they were like, let's find all the angst we can for her to be feeling.
Angsty teenage girl. That's what we're supposed to, that's what they're handing us.
You're not my real mom.
Right. Like that's exactly what they're doing. That's the trope.
But it would be great if that was simply a response to coming home to these people and then starting to feel that well of emotion and resentment of these are the people who are meant to take care of me. And they have dropped the ball so terribly, you know, and now I'm old enough to look after myself. Maybe I don't need these people anymore. You know, where do they get off telling me what to do? It'd be great if they'd actually explored that. But no, she's just an angsty teenager in season 4. That's all that is.
There's so much they could have done with her in the storyline, but yeah, like you said, it's just teenage angst. Is that and they turned it up to 11, and that's really all we got when it could have been a lot more deeper.
But I love the moment between Jack and Amber. I think it's very sweet. Again, even though this is simple, it's serviceable. I love the way Amber, how happy she is to see him, gives him the big hug and coaxes him in, immediately susses out why he doesn't want to come in, reassures him, you're not going to run into anybody that's going to make you feel awkward. Just please come sit with me, have a cuppa. You know, I've missed you. And I thought that was very needed, you know, in this family that doesn't seem to care about each other. I'll take any moment when they do.
Season 1 Amber, welcome back. You know, like this is why these people look at you the way that they do. Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah, it's a nice touching moment, and I love her comforting him, just talking to him. It kind of makes me wonder if I don't know, if everything had happened between him and Ellie, if Amber had been around. I don't want to put all the pressure on Amber, but I'm just saying, like, clearly she handled what happened between him and Ellie way better than anybody else did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that she's just listening to him. She's validating how he feels, but she doesn't badmouth Ellie or Luke in doing so. You know, she's just being his friend and understanding, it stinks. You're still in love and that person doesn't love you anymore. You don't want to, it hurts to be around them and you can't have them. You can't be with them. And it's a simple thing. You know, I thought that was a nice discussion. Again, it's not bad mouthing anybody. It's just, it hurts and he doesn't want to be someplace it hurts, you know? And as he told Chloe in the last episode, how can I go back there when all those people knew what was happening and nobody even gave me a heads up? Nobody even told me what was going on. I don't feel like anyone there cares about me. And here's Amber proving it.
I'm glad that was acknowledged.
Right, you know, and so it was a nice, much needed moment of that family camaraderie that is sorely missing most of the time. And it would remind you why you would want to come back to these people, why you would think of them as your family or the only people you might have in the world worth holding on to. You know, moments like this. And so I'll take it. I'll take it.
I do wonder, though, I'm very happy, like you said, that the Mallrats are finally showing some kind of friendship between them like they did in season 1. But I do wonder if this scene only exists because they need a reason for Jack to stay in the mall. Yeah. And they also need a reason to re-explain to the audience what's been happening between him and Ellie and re-establish that dynamic before we continue with the love triangle that we're insisting on going with this season.
Oh, probably. 100%.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. Nail on that. Got it. Yep.
Nuance is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment's here, so Amber looks great and Jack doesn't go anywhere. But I'm just saying, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Pretty much.
Take what you can get in season 3.
I did like the moment between Chloe and Casey. You could hear the girl alarms going off in his head. Because Chloe's always just been his little cute. She's always just been his little sister, and all of a sudden he's like, girl, like, oh my gosh. Whoa. She's a female.
He did everything but say spin around. Let me look at you.
He was so flabbergasted. And I thought that was, pretty cute. And she's just like, what are you staring at? Because she's talking to him like he's still her brother, and he's just like,
huh?
Go, you're staying, right?
That was so cute, yeah.
You guys prefer the Chloe and Casey might have been, or the Casey and Patsy?
Ooh.
I'm not. I personally, I'm not biased either way. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
Me either.
I think either would have been adorable had they stayed, stuck just as a growing experience, together. But my only thing is that if it would have stopped Chloe from getting together with Ben, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very pro Casey and Chloe. I think Casey and Patsy would have driven each other like insane at some point.
Oh yeah, that's what what I mean. Like a growing experience, like just a coming of age thing. Like, okay, yeah, now I hate you. But
if I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I used to be very pro Patsy, I guess, but now that I'm thinking about it, Casey and Chloe would have just been great. They're both independent enough to be able to actually make that work.
And they had a good friendship.
They
were good friends too. Chloe didn't put up with his crap.
I'm instantly reminded of the whole Porky incident where, Casey gave himself up so that Chloe and Porky could escape, even though he was the one who got them into that mess in the first place.
Well, that's because Casey's always going to be pro mall rats. You know what I mean? Like, he's always going to be there for any mall rat that needs him, I think. And that's the best thing about him, is he's about family.
I have no faith that the show would have done it any justice.
No.
But I'm certainly open to what a fan writer could have shown of these kids growing up and discovering each other and all that stuff. But I guess I've never been partial either way to either of them. Because I think both girls had an interesting dynamic with Casey that would become even more interesting as they grew up and matured,
Very true.
Hey, I vote for throuple, okay? They could just have a happy little threesome.
Patsy could have never shared. No.
Patsy doesn't share, yeah.
She doesn't share.
Chloe's one of the few people I think she might have been able to share with, because either she has Casey and no Chloe, or she has Chloe and no Casey. I think it could have worked it out as they got older.
I think Maggie's right. Yeah.
That having been said, though, no one can share men in this show. It's an ongoing thing. I doubt the writers would have given.
That's not something they do. They don't do it well.
They can't share, but at the same time,
no, they really don't.
They're all sharing the same love for the same guys all the time,
and that's why they hate each other.
It's the ultimate friendship killer.
We're talking about sharing love for the same person. A tearful May gets annoyed at Pride for ignoring her, and even has a go at Chloe when she tries to introduce herself to Pride, and further accuses Pride of flirting with Amber.
Oh, so what? You just don't care about me, is that it?
Of course I care about you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here. I would have been back with the Eco Tribe ages ago.
You didn't stay because of me. You stayed because of her.
Who?
No, Amber, of course. You think I don't know you're so hooked on her?
May, that's all over.
You've just been using me.
So, panel, I know you love Pride talk. What do you make of Pride's kind of outright lie here that he's staying because of May?
Okay, I'm going to say this is one of the few instances where I feel like May is perfectly justified for being upset at the way he is treating both Chloe and Amber. Because remember how he's been treating her. He's been willing to sleep with her, okay, and then dismissive of her. Saying all the things, but obviously his actions are not backing up the crap he is saying to get into her bed. And so when you have a person who you bring them breakfast in bed after you let them have the nookie, and they're just like, yeah, I don't want your food, I got places to go. And then when you finally see him after he's been avoiding you and wanting nothing to do with you, he is being so friendly and congenial with these other ladies, and especially the one he wants. I think her being upset at him and being like, wow, you really are been playing me for a fool. I'm the idiot. I took a chance on you, and I didn't think you'd sleep with me if you didn't actually feel something for me. But guess what? You're just like all the others. I'm not listening to you. You're crap. It's her, and I'm not gonna let you use me anymore. I felt like she was justified in that.
Yeah. But I mean, I think definitely Pride's scummy in this situation. Okay, like he's certainly not. He knows exactly what he's doing because he's not dumb. He's not stupid. Unless we're giving him too much credit, and he's more like brave than we thought. But like he knows, and May, I thought when this started, like May also knew, like what, I thought she understood what the situation was. Like,
yes, but we discussed that for May. The way she sees it is that, for example, she wouldn't take Casey's necklace because she knew he liked her, and she wouldn't take something intimate from him when she couldn't return his feelings. So I think that's what she's looking at pride as. Like, I know you like Amber, but you wouldn't sleep with me if you didn't care about me, right? You know what I mean?
okay, yeah, no, okay, you're right. That makes sense. That does.
And he is outright lying to her. Like he's
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between okay,
that's
yeah,
what
I know
I'm
you.
like. He's dumb. He's mean. He's mean. I guess he's mean. The city's turned him evil, guys.
It's Bray's influence.
Stop it. Bray has never stolen the
Whoa.
Nookie, okay? He's never done that.
He would. He's just dumb.
Yeah, that's not
He's
fair.
just unaware. He is unaware.
On that though, I mean, it is interesting. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the really strong, beautifully written, independent female characters on this show do eventually get reduced to toxic behavior and
Mhm.
distress, and sometimes being really mentally unwell, all because of one of the men. You see, Celine and Trudy going into this depressed state because of Bray, Alice because of Ned. And I understand it does happen, but you just find yourself thinking, I wish there were other storylines we could explore, other ways of developing your character that didn't have to revolve around men all the time. And I think it's especially sad for May because she was such a wonderful,
The free
vibrant
spirit.
person when she started. And now we're seeing her, yeah, and just seeing her this upset over pride, it's just unpleasant to watch. It's really uncomfortable, for me at least.
Well, I think Thompson would probably say it best. It does speak to the misogyny of the show. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like
Yeah.
you don't fall into a depressive state when the person you want doesn't want you. They're teenagers, right? But you make a good point about the fact that there isn't a single female, no matter how she's introduced, that manages to make it out of one of these situations without losing her crap because the guy she wants doesn't want her, or is willing to throw away a friendship over a guy. It speaks to the idea that this is what all teenage females are like, when that's not true. And it also speaks to the fact that teenage girls can't remain friends when a guy is involved. You know what I mean? Like, they immediately, and it's just that societal idea, especially at the time this came out, that this is
25 years ago.
This is what females are like. You know, we're incredibly catty when it comes to men, and we'll throw away friendships over one. We can't even talk to. All girls are competition, and we cannot function if the guy we like doesn't like us. And again, I'm not saying there isn't some truth to it. We've all been there, but to treat every single female like that on the show, regardless of how you presented them, when there's not a single example of a female who doesn't kind of just lose her personality over a guy in some form or other, even Tai-San, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's telling when every girl goes this way.
Yeah, because it's not necessary for every character to do.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for every,
I do.
And it's unfortunate that's what they gave us.
I feel like the guys get more chances to, they have their moments, obviously, because, the girl that they want doesn't want them. But I do feel like there is often some more nuance between them. But then again, there's no guy friends anyway. So you see these really messed up messages that, on the show. There aren't any real good romances that aren't toxic as hell, or abusive. And of course, girls can only be girlfriends if there's no guy involved. And so it's a sad message. But the tribe isn't the only one guilty of it.
Oh, God, that is really sad. I was just thinking,
Depressing. And even Tai-San, I think she fares the best out of most of them, but she still has this episode with the Guardian. I know it's not a romantic plot exactly, but still, once again, a woman's sanity seems to center around a man. How odd.
I mean, what brings Ebony down? It's usually the man she's in love with or obsessed with at any given time. That's what usually is her downfall. You know what I mean? Like, and even Alice, same thing. And I'm not saying that a strong woman wouldn't fall to pieces because the person they love doesn't love them back or they lose them or something. I'm just, it just speaks that every female follows the same fate if love gets in the picture. And it's just, it's not a great commentary, especially if you're, a young person watching this and you just assume, okay, that's the way it's supposed to go, these toxic reactions, or even just saying that all teenagers are that way. That's not fair either, but with Pride and May here, where I said I agree that I think May's outburst is justified because of how he's been treating her and her realization that, okay, I was wrong about you. It bothers me that Pride is so hung up on not wanting to be seen for what he is. A guy who's willing to sleep with a girl he doesn't care about for physical comfort and then treat her like garbage. But this is why he didn't want anyone to know about he and May. He didn't want to have to own up to anything being between them. When she walks out of the room and he's like, gee, what was that about? And Trudy's like, dude, if you don't know, you better go find out. Like, everybody already knows Pride, and you can't hide it. You're going to have to own this, that you've been sleeping with her, and then that straight up lie to her face. Nobody believes you're here for May, Pride.
Nice try, though, bud.
Nope. Mm-mm.
You have the chance to come clean, but you're so concerned with looking like a nice guy. Just own it. Just freaking own it. Like, okay, that was wrong of me, That's what she wants to hear. She wants you to freaking apologize and admit you did her dirty,
Yeah, it's like there's a scale between Ryan and Jay in terms of healthy behavior in relationships, and Pride's rapidly approaching Jay levels, which I never thought would happen.
That's funny.
Told you the city changed him.
Yep. It's the water. It's something in the filter.
I know people shouldn't stay in this city. It's dangerous.
It is. Or did Amber change him?
Oh, no.
Did she break his heart?
No.
Did she break his heart so much that he...
No.
I'm not accepting that.
I won't.
No. I'm not accepting that. This is Amber's fault, that she created this guy. No, not having that. Mm-mm.
I told you, if you join the Mallrats, if you go to the mall, your life is going downhill.
Done.
That's what happened to Pride. He came and spent time with these people, and it ruined him.
Ruined.
That's what happened to Alice.
The mall is a black hole, okay? It will eventually destroy you. If you want happiness, if you want to be a well-balanced human being, get the frick out of this building.
Go far away.
Run.
No, Pride fell fast, and that wasn't Amber's fault.
No.
It's not.
Okay, fine. Fine.
But I want to blame Amber.
I mean, they could have, if they really wanted to. Of course, they were never going to, because she's a favorite. But it would have been an interesting...
She's Amber.
It's not like they couldn't have had a story where, he was so butthurt and traumatized by getting engaged to somebody who is lying to you the whole time about how they feel about you and even who they are. You know what I mean? And how they came into your life and then ditched you as soon as their ex comes back and acts like, hey, you should have seen that coming. You know what I mean? Like, then you could have actually used that to shape how this affects him. But they bungled it. They bungled the bag with Pride. And so...
Yeah.
Again, there's all that potential there, but it's just not used.
Missed opportunity! That button needs a sound effect. That's what we need for season 4. We need a sound effect for the missed opportunity.
I'll get right on it.
Eventually, it'll just never turn off. You won't even hear our voices. It'll just be the siren for the whole episode.
It'll be a full episode of that sound.
I mean, season 5 takes some very interesting opportunities. It doesn't miss
That's
them.
so true.
They're not good, but...
I did think the thing with the necklace was interesting, especially with the play between Casey and May. Now, again, I think it was right of May not to take the necklace. It was the right thing to do. And yeah, it hurt Casey, but it was the ripping of the Band-Aid off, not playing with your feelings, da-da-da. And then he wanted to get rid of it. And then it was interesting to see Casey. You look at the eyes he's giving May when Chloe's trying on the necklace. He is deliberately looking at May like, oh, you weren't interested in my affections. I have things to offer, but I'm not going to offer it to you anymore.
Not for you.
Not for you. Oh, you think it's pretty now, May? It was just interesting to see that adolescent pettiness coming out of Casey.
Yeah, I loved him calling her out. It was great.
because he's not usually like that. And I mean, I'm not blaming him, but it was kind of funny. And she's looking at him like, oh, okay, I get it, kid. And she's maybe I should have taken it, but of course she's taken, shots at Pride, and
Yeah.
poor Chloe's like, what the frick did I walk into?
What happened?
It's testing booby traps.
I think it's depressing though, because I think in a previous episode, it might have been you, Liz, you were saying that May has a certain code of ethics and she'll only go to a certain level. She won't necessarily exploit someone else's feelings, like Casey, for example, to get to Pride. And yet in this situation, obviously, she's so upset that she is starting to do that. She's starting to try and play these games in order to get his attention. And again, it's just such a sad destination for her character.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just that, though. Or if she's seriously wondering, I could have had that if I would have, put aside my feelings for Pride and would have just settled for
No.
the sweet kid
No.
who would do things like that.
I actually think you have something there, because the whole episode keeps focusing on the fact that May is hearing conversations and seeing examples of people who genuinely care about each other, love. You know what I mean? Like when she's talking with Trudy in the cafe, and the love that Trudy is showing for her daughter, you know what I mean? And you see how happy Trudy is. She's fulfilled in her life because she has the love of someone, even if it's only her own child. That's all she needs. And it fills her up and it makes her so happy. And as she's saying, I will never leave you. You know that? You hear that? Mama is never going to leave you again. And it bothers May so much she leaves the room. Hearing about that kind of love that clearly she's been lacking in her own life.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's a pattern for her since the start, even when she first met Celine and found out, wait, your baby daddy's a guy who's absolutely head over heels in love with you and would want to have a child, and you're leaving? Why? I think that this whole episode is that realization, that punch in the nose for May, that's what she wants. She wants someone who loves her, who would never leave her, to feel worthy of that kind of love. And she wants it from Pride, and yet he's crapping on her chest, for crying out loud. It's not even her fetish, you know what I mean?
Oh, God.
And
oh, my God.
So I do think looking at the necklace and thinking, here was a nice kid who would have done things for me. I just didn't want to take advantage of him. And it would make you resentful, you know what I mean? Because she's willing to give that unconditional love to Pride, and it's being rejected. So I think you do have something there, that sense of, that's what I really want, and why can't I find it? Why can't I find someone that I want and they want me too, in that same strong way?
Mm-hmm.
And she's never felt it before, it doesn't seem. So you might be onto something there.
Really sad. I think it's another example of attachment disorder in the tribe. So many characters have it. Ebony and May, I think, particularly. They need someone to need them, and it just doesn't seem to work out.
Like, she was very shocked when Lex wouldn't sleep with her again because he had fallen in love. And she's like, seriously? And he's like, yeah.
Really, bro?
I do. I love her. You know what I mean? She probably wouldn't like that, and I don't want to ruin it.
Nah.
So, sorry, you're going to have to get out. And she was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, you could see that that's not something she's familiar with. And now here she is realizing how badly she wants that. Watching, Bray and Pride fall to pieces because Amber was gone. The one person they love, and they want her with them, and they do anything. And it's like, why can't I have that? You know what I mean? Like, what is so wrong with me that I can't find someone who can still love me like that? Which is probably where some of her resentment toward Celine sometimes comes from. Like, you had love, and you shot it in the face. What's wrong with you? You know
Why'd
what I
you
mean?
do that?
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, but come on, it's easy to feel resentment towards Celine for her behavior.
It's been kind of peaceful. Like, I actually just forgot that she had left until Amber said something about Ryan. And I was like, oh, yeah.
That's quite sad.
That's so bad. Yeah, no. Whatever, I'm not sorry.
I was wondering why I felt so zen throughout the episode. That must be it.
No, Celine.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. See?
You guys.
Not the only one.
Leave her alone. She's not even here. Leave Brittany alone.
Never.
I wanted to explain.
What was to explain?
Everything. I never meant to hurt you.
No, but you did.
I tried not to. I'm so sorry. Please just say that you forgive me and we can still be friends.
I don't think I can.
Jack, I still care about you. And can't we just talk about this, please?
We've got nothing left to talk about. After tomorrow, you'll never see me again.
So yeah, let's start with Ellie being annoyed at Jack for returning to the mall. And then what did you make of their discussion?
No. She does. How dare she? I really had that moment. I was like, really, girl?
Mhm.
Really? You were so worried about where he was, but then you got used to that out of sight, out of mind crap. Didn't have to deal with it, Didn't have to deal with what you caused. And he comes home, so now it's in your face again. And you're like, why is he here? I'm so inconvenienced. I can't.
Mhm.
I can't.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I've broken up with a lot of boys, growing up. And for me, once you break up with someone, it's like, for me, it was like, it's over. I don't have any feelings for you. That's why I'm breaking up with you. And I'd be like, why can't you just get over it? Why are you still mad at me? Like, what's your problem? I remember my freshman boyfriend, and I was the a-hole in this Reddit post. Let me just make that clear. I dumped him for another pretty face. You know what I mean? He was a great guy. Nothing wrong with him. And I was just like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm breaking up with him. I'm not going to cheat on him. I'm just going to end it. And like, I hope we can be friends. No, bye. You know what I mean? And I chose a Luke and learned the hard way. Like, wow, this guy's the scum of the earth. I made a mistake. My old boyfriend was great. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't be my friend. He wouldn't talk to me. And I was always like, what is his problem? Why is he being so, such a brat about this? Why can't we be friends? You know what I mean? I didn't do anything wrong. I just broke up with him, right? I did get my karma, though, you guys. Guys, I went crawling back to him. I wrote this beautiful poem and admitted I was totally in the wrong, and it was like so shallow what I did. And he told me to, take a long walk up a short pier. Those are the nice words. That's not what he said, but message is the same, right? So I totally got Ellie being like, I don't want to think about this. Like, I just want it to be done. Can't you just, like, forgive me and stuff, right? Jack's like, no, my heart is broken. You guys kissed right in front of my door.
Why would you?
You could have just told me, and you fell in love with one of the people who sent me away. Like, what the heck, Ellie? We're not going to be friends. I need time.
Yeah, no, the audacity.
I did love how organic it felt when Ellie just accidentally let slip something about Alice being really hurt inside and then realizing what she'd said and just backing out of the room because there's no coming back from that.
Read the room, Ellie. No, I actually did think this was handled quite well because, again, I didn't feel like the narrative was calling Ellie a bad person for breaking up with Jack, but it's Jack. She's not owed forgiveness from Jack. Like, he doesn't have to forgive her. He doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, everything's cool. He's allowed to still be hurt. He's not saying anything horrible to her. He's not making accusations towards her. He's just being honest. I feel horrible still, Ellie. I can't make that go away because it would be easier for you, and so I thought they handled this a little better than they have with these two, where again, the narrative was like, Ellie's just garbage because she doesn't love him anymore. And here it didn't feel like they were pressing that message. It's just more like, this is what happens with breakups when one person's ready to go and the other person isn't. This is the repercussions, You're going to feel guilty for hurting someone who didn't do anything wrong, but you just didn't want to be with them. And they're going to be hurt, and you have to live with that. You have to live with the fact that they're going to be hurt, even if it bothers you that they're hurt. Well, it bothered them that you didn't love them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is just what happens. And so I thought they handled this pretty well.
I don't really have anything to add to this that isn't full on about Ellie.
We all know Ellie's the girl you went to school with that you hated. We get it.
No, that was Amber.
That's why you hate her.
I thought it was just all blondes, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if Ellie is really annoyed with Jack being back, or if she's really annoyed at her own feelings, which are becoming so confused.
Yeah. I think that would definitely is also at play. It was easy not to think about Jack when he was gone in the confusion between he and Luke. He was gone, and it was easy to throw herself into this awful relationship with Luke. And I don't know if the relationship with Luke has been that fulfilling for her. He's not a partner. They have nothing in common. They spend most of their time apart. They don't work on anything together. She spends all of her time reassuring him, even in this episode, once again, making him feel better about stuff. He's not giving anything to this relationship. And so having your ex-partner pop back in, who was good to you for the most part, and you did care about him deeply, it's confusing to ask you, like, why did I stop caring about that person? Was it just separation? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she doesn't want to feel any of those things. Who does at 15 years old, you know? It's not like Luke's there comforting her, you know? In fact, the first thing Luke asks when she explains, like, I feel better if Jack wasn't here, you know? And he's like, do you still care about it? Like, Luke, this is your time to be like, yeah, that makes sense. To validate her experience. Just once, validate Ellie's experience, because you're supposed to be in love with her and care about what she's going through. But instead, you once again turned it into an opportunity where she has to reassure you and ignore what she's feeling. I'm sorry, Luke just pissed me off.
No, fair enough.
Okay, let's move on to Tai-San. So, as we all know, Tai-San still feels sorry for the Guardian and guilt at betraying him despite knowing that this is all necessary.
You're not trying to tell me you feel sorry for him?
Well, of course I do.
After all he's done? Come on, babe.
I know it has to be done. And I'm the one who has to do it, but I still feel guilty about betraying his trust.
Lex does try to make her feel better by getting her a gift of a crystal, but she suspects that he didn't get it legitimately and rejects it. So yeah, what do you make of Tai-San's feelings here?
Not bad. Not a terrible attempt at showing some duality of emotion. You know, recognizing that, yes, I know he needs to be captured. I know we have to do this, but I still feel terrible for betraying his trust. As Ames mentioned, that trauma bond still popping up between them. It's not the best. There's so much more that could have been said in this conversation. And instead of rehashing the same arguments that she and Lex have had in the past and killing it dead in the water by having Lex immediately go, what, do you still have feelings for the guy? Like, oh my gosh, we've had this conversation so many times. Could have been an opportunity for more to be said. But as is, it's serviceable, you know?
Yeah, that's the whole episode, really.
It's nicely shot.
Serviceable enough.
You know, I like the intimacy of her being in bed, him getting ready after a long day. It's nice to see, you know, like, this is kind of a working relationship. Lex is being quite productive with himself. He's making a difference in the world. He's out there. He seems quite pleased with being useful and doing something he's good at. And, you know, just that intimate conversation that a couple might have at the end of the day about things. I thought the blocking was nice. Lighting was nice. Script could have used more work, you know?
I'm just kind of annoyed that, yes, it makes sense the way she responded to the gift Lex had for her, but come on, you know your husband.
She still can have her boundaries, and she always has with him, so.
Yeah, but it's...
I like with Lex and Tai-San that because it is one of the healthiest relationships on the show, there is room for them both to express frustration, anger, whatever intense emotions there might be without it destroying the relationship. Like here, Tai-San obviously, I don't think she would be as upset about this crystal if not for the fact that she'd just been through this very difficult experience and she's having a lot of trick the Guardian. But it's okay, she can express those and she and Lex can work through it together and we know that eventually it'll all be fine.
Yeah,
and that's
I agree
really
with that.
comforting.
Like, Lex doesn't even get mad when she calls him out, like, how did you get this? And he's just like, and you can tell he's like, crap, I shouldn't have said that. That's on me. I know what my wife is like. I got it. I'll take it back. I'll get you something legit tomorrow. Because he is the one. It's not like she had any suspicions. He was the one who said, like, she was like, oh my gosh, it must have cost you so much. He could have just been like, you're worth it. And shut up right there. But no, Lex was like, I got a deal. And she's just like, okay. he knew he'd stepped in that one on his own. That's why he was like, yes, ma'am. I'll take it back.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of funny how they are the most healthiest relationship that we ever get, and that this incident doesn't blow up the relationship at all. It's just another footnote. It's like, okay, they know each other that well.
Yeah, they say the truth to each other. There's no name calling. There's no cruel behavior towards the other person. They back each other up, but they also argue and have no problem sharing differences of opinion and not agreeing on things. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
We're not going to agree on this. You're coming home, right? Absolutely.
I do wonder what would have happened in season 4 and 5 if Tai-San had actually stayed on instead of just randomly appearing on a whim and then disappearing again. How they would have talked about where she'd been and where the relationship would have gone now that Siva was in the picture.
I would have loved that.
Missed opportunities.
Because there's so much to say about Lex and Siva's relationship just in season 4 alone. They would have bungled it, though. I would have dropped the ball.
Spectacularly.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I would have loved to see them continuing to grow together and influencing who they are, like the way they influence each other and balance each other out. I would have liked to see that continue, rather than the steady decline of Lex's character.
I was just thinking that they would have bungled it. They would have kept like Lex on as like the city sheriff. Tai-San would have been anti-technology. It would have thrown them apart. They would have made drama out of it. I can't see them handling it well.
They probably would have been the couple in season 4 that just spent every episode arguing about something. That's it.
I'm just imagining Bride storyline on Tai-San then.
Oh no! And you know what? You're probably right. Yeah. Oh yeah, they would have done that to Tai-San.
Oh no, maybe it's better that she stayed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the characters become so flanderized in season 4 that it's a joke in many ways.
Well, they could have just gone with the Tai-San's a spy for the Techno's narrative. I mean, it would have been stupid, but it would have been more fun.
There's a lot of people who love you right now. That theory will never die.
It makes me happy. Sorry, I still don't feel bad about putting that in Carlin's head back then.
Shameless you are. Shameless, Dean.
Duh.
Okay, cool. That brings us to our final thoughts of the episode.
Why do you think I saved you? Look, I need a good lieutenant. I'm going to rule the city and take what I deserve. But not even I can do it on my own. Now it's make your mind up time. You want a part of that?
But Ebony threatens to remove his protection in the city if he doesn't do what she wants, leaving him with very little choice. He either becomes her lieutenant or else. So yeah, does anyone have sympathy for Luke here?
Maybe a smidge?
I have empathy. I don't think I have sympathy.
Yeah, maybe that's the word. He's so doomed to be this person because he craves the validation from these powerful, toxic people, and it doesn't seem like he's ever going to be able to break that cycle for himself. He can't be satisfied with, one, validating himself, or, for example, the validation he was getting from his own girlfriend. It wasn't enough for him, like he latched on to Ebony. Now, granted, some of it you could say is survival, like she's powerful and she could protect him, but when you look all the way to his past and being a loco and then joining the Chosen and then what he's capable of doing when he becomes a powerful person's right-hand man, there's no moral scruples for him. What he's willing to do, what he's able to convince himself is for the greater good, just on and on. I do have empathy because it's like, Luke, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to get out of this cycle for yourself. We got to see it in real time, him falling into the exact same trap that he barely escaped from. And it's almost like, does he actually want to escape from that cycle? Because he spends all his time feeling sorry for himself rather than really doing any true reflection of how he ends up in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking about what would have happened if Luke would have, still been here next season.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have probably gone on from being Ebony's lieutenant to Ram's.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely.
He would have been the J.
A more competent version of Jay, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. the one who actually knew where the deleted people went.
But I thought this was a great scene. You know, again, the lighting is really good, and Ebony is just commanding the scene, and the way she just lays it out. Like, did you really think I liked you? Did you really think I thought you were worth saving on, you know, some emotional level? You're useful, Luke. That's what you are, you know? And that's the only validation you're ever going to get from me. You wanted it so bad, here it is. And I thought that he acted that realization out very well, even though it shouldn't be that big of a surprise to him, because once again, he just did exactly what he did before. You know, like, what did you think was going to happen when you keep following the same patterns, Luke? And in a way, I feel a little bad just because he clearly had high hopes. But again, it's hard to feel bad because it's like, Luke, you're just chasing another powerful person to validate your existence. And you can't be shocked when another powerful person turns out to be corrupted. You know, you seem to be very drawn to these people, you know, because you don't have any sense of self.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he does have a lot of similarities with Celine in that way. They're both always seeking that validation, and they fall into these patterns again and again.
Ooh, now there's a comparison I had not heard before.
Yeah.
It's a good one, though.
And it's like, it's not like it. The difference is that Celine, she seems to, her validation is usually from men, like the male species. That's where she needs her validation from. But with Luke, it is specifically powerful people that he wants validation from, because he gets a lot of validation in the mall, you know, and he does not look towards any of these people, not even Ellie, as like it means anything that they validated him, you know. It specifically has to come from a powerful person, and he'll make up all kinds of excuses, you know, even like when Ellie's, I think it was Tai-San who was talking to him about like what power did to the Guardian, the way he dismisses it so quickly and be like, hey, he was out of his mind, he was always out of his mind, we know that now. And it's like, Luke, you know that's not true. You didn't believe he was out of his mind, you know what I mean? He was perfectly sane when you started following him. Probably one of the calmest people running around this post-apocalyptic world when you first started following him. And but it's just easy for him to sweep it under the rug because he doesn't want to evaluate why did he follow the Guardian, you know. And it's like with Ebony, he really ought to have known better because he's followed her before.
Yeah.
He's sitting there with a shocked Pikachu face.
It does feel like the characters have a mind wipe at the start of every season. They're all
or mid-season.
They're a blank slate, or they're a different person, one or the other.
And see, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it so much because, again, people do change, and you are not at fault for someone manipulating your emotions and, you know what I mean, lying to you. That's not your fault because you decided to trust somebody who's straight up lying to you. But I just wish that the characters showed the growth of caution that comes from being in these experiences and being played by someone before, and they never do. Like, I can take it if you fall for someone's scam again, but show some caution this time around because it's like, oh, they have screwed me over before. And I feel like earlier seasons did that. Think about how Bray was with Ebony. It was hard for him to trust her because she'd screwed him before, you know, so he was always struggling with whether he should, you know, and again, it's like, I can handle that because you may want to trust somebody who's hurt you in the past, but you at least show that you're concerned they might do it again, you know, if you give them another chance. And I just feel like that is missing from these characters. That just sense of acknowledgement someone screwed you over in the past and you're actually concerned they'll do it to you again. Instead, it's always like, yeah, they did that in the past, but it was the past, and that's it. It's just like, they'd never do it again.
Oh my goodness, can we talk about Bray falling for Ebony in the later episodes, falling for her scheme? That drives me mad. How many times does it take for you to learn?
Bray never learns. He's been hit on the head too many times.
Ebony earned it, though, this time. Like, I'm giving her the credit. She really did earn it by lowering everyone's guard and being on her best behavior for most of season 3. Like, second half of season 3, she's usually on her best behavior. So being able to fool everyone because she didn't give them any ammo or any reason to distrust her, like, I'm just saying she earned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would be great to have at least a few characters who'd be like, yeah, she's behaving, but I'm never going to trust her again. I'm never going to lower my guard with her. Just, just somebody be like, yeah, it's cool. I get you. I'm glad you've moved on, but I will always be watching this person out of the side of my eye. Just because they seem to have a pattern.
We can't have that because they got rid of the one person that would have. Oh, I'm not allowed to say her name according to Liz.
What are you talking about? Oh, give me a break. We're not.
I'm still annoyed at Trudy waving the ebony flag. Like, Trudy, after everything you have been through with this woman, please, are you telling me that you are champion Ebony? Come off it.
We're not talking about one act of horrible thing that she did.
No.
Trudy, Ebony's been torturing you since the day she came into your classroom.
From day one.
For no reason.
And you're like, if I can change, Ebony can change. No, you brainwashed Trudy. Ebony doesn't have that excuse, so you can't make that an excuse for her.
And that's where I have the problem. Like, there's nobody who has valid reason to be like, no, I won't trust this person. Yeah, I'm not going to kick up a fuss if this is what the tribe decides. But if you want my personal opinion, I don't trust them. And I'd love it to come from somebody who isn't like, for example, it's usually Lex, but it's always like a self-interest usually coming from Lex. Not because he has genuine reason not to trust her. It's just usually because it's like, I wanted that job or whatever. I would like it to come from a person who's just like, I remember all the things that she has done.
Someone like Jack.
There's a lot of things that she's done. And what is her pattern? She usually acts like everything's cool before she does it again. I'd like at least one person who is not self-interested to point that out. I don't need Trudy to be like, I hate Ebony or anything. I just need her to be like, yeah, I wouldn't leave my daughter alone with that woman. Just some caution because of what she's done.
This is why I sometimes feel like the Mallrats deserve everything they get throughout the 5 seasons because they never show any common sense.
It was something in the antidote that made him that way.
And there's usually not a really good reason for it. Like, again, in the first couple of seasons, circumstances often forced people to work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, season 1 was such a perfect example of that, of these kids having, no choice but to work with each other. For example, they needed Lex around because he was muscle. They needed someone who's willing to protect and could physically protect. Who's willing to take a punch in the face, who's had more bravery than brains, when you're just trying to survive and you're surrounded by all of these warring tribes, you didn't exactly want to throw out the one bit of muscle you might have, so you want to try to work with them. Amber was always like, look, you could be useful in this group, or, the circumstances forced them to be like, okay. But they didn't forget. They just okay, we got to work together somehow. And I don't feel like this tail end of season 3 has given them those kind of circumstances where, I'm just going to totally forget everything somebody has done. Unless you broke my heart. Heartbreak. Oh, these people will hold on to that forever. Other circumstances, they didn't matter.
And the sad thing is they did have that potential again, missed potential button, to actually give them something to work with, because you have had this whole season where they have had to work together to overthrow the Chosen, but it's been written so badly that we haven't really felt those relationships developing. We haven't felt that need for them to collaborate. And now that the Chosen are over, it's just become redundant. We don't have that opportunity anymore.
It lost that magic that made us want to see them be a group that succeeds. I can't say what the magic is. It could just be the writing and the lack of character work. the lack of growth and the lack of response to the world around them and how that affects people. Because I don't feel that same sense of like, oh my gosh, I love this group. I want them to succeed. I want them to sink or swim together. I get what they're working towards. I just don't feel it. I don't feel a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Except for like a couple of moments where a couple of characters will be actually given a moment. But as a tribe, no, I don't feel it at all. I felt it more when these kids had literally just met and decided, why don't we be a tribe? You know what I mean? Like, I felt it more back then than I do now. And I don't even care if they decide to just go their separate ways. But I don't know what they're holding on to.
Yeah, why are they still together? What's the point?
Oh, it's getting depressing again. That's so sad.
Buckle up.
I mean, yeah, on that happy note, that brings Series 3, Episode 50 to a close. Thank you very much to our panel and our guest for the day, Amy.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I listen to the show every week and it's just wonderful to actually get to interact with you guys virtually.
Yeah, it was really great having you on.
And if you'd like to take part in a future episode of our podcast, then you can send us a message on our Facebook page, on our website, or on Instagram. Just search for thetribe.co.uk or Conversations on an Eagle Mountain. So we'll see you next time for episode 51. Until then, bye.
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 Bye.